channel. I got to say, for starters, I'm okay. You're probably looking at me being like, is he good right now? Well, here's the deal. I just got out of a dental appointment, and the entire left-hand side of my face is numb to the point where I can't even feel anything, and it's drooping on me. So I'm very droopy right now. It's looking like I probably had Botox on the left-hand side of my face. But the good news is it's nothing other than just a dental procedure. I had a filling. I had a crown placed. So that's what's going on here. All right. We got to talk about Jalen Ramsey and the fact that the Ravens have been one of 4 potential landing spots that PFF, Pro Football Focus, took a look at. This is going to be a lot harder than I thought, by the way, because I can barely even enunciate. So bear with me. I appreciate you guys for being with me on this Tuesday. It's the 15th of April. Like the video on your way in. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. And today is brought to you by my friends at Primary Residential Mortgage. You can learn more about them in the show notes. There's also a pinned comment right now in the live chat. And there's also a guest access link. And to be quite honest with you, the guest access link might be vital today. It might be an absolute must-have. I might need you guys to call in because I can barely even speak right now. But I have to, and that's the plan. I feel fine. I'm just numb as shit. Okay, Jalen Ramsey, 7-time Pro Bowl corner. He's currently with the Miami Dolphins. According to Rappaport, Schefter, and all the insiders at the national level, the two sides are mutually set to explore trade options. Wouldn't be a surprise if he played elsewhere in 25, according to Rap Sheet and Pelissero. Ramsey is due $25.1 million, fully guaranteed this season, and the parting of ways could be imminent. Adam Schefter weighed in on some of these nitty-gritty details as well earlier on ESPN.
Chris Grier referred to the ongoing conversations that have taken place between Jalen Ramsey and the organization. The organization has been in a position where it has felt like it is in the best interest of the Dolphins, and Jalen Ramsey feels like it's in his best interest for both sides to part ways. And so that's coming. The only question is how it's going to be handled and how it's going to come down. The Dolphins obviously would like to get something back, but there's the issue of money, which is always a case in situations like this. Jalen Ramsey's due over $25 million for the coming season. The Dolphins already have paid him a $4 million roster bonus. So any team that takes on a Jalen Ramsey trade obviously would like to restructure that contract. So there's the question of whether that would happen. But today, Chris Grier made it clear that the two sides are going their own ways. Jalen Ramsey is expected to have a new home, and the Miami Dolphins are going to have to lean on a former high pick, Cam Smith, to try to step in, step up, and help become the type of player that they envisioned he would become when they drafted him a couple of years ago.
Yeah, Shefty, I think the Dolphins may have entered a very dangerous territory to be in the NFL, and that's us asking on the doorstep of the NFL draft, what is this team?
Okay, so that's the Miami's perspective there. Again, the reason why I decided to hop on live today is that Pro Football Focus, PFF, put Baltimore as one of 4 potential landing spots, according to their analysis, that would make sense for Jalen Ramsey, but certainly not at that figure that you just heard Schefter and you saw Rappaport right in that tweet. 25.1 fully guaranteed this season ain't going to work. It's not going to work for Baltimore. Not going to work for most teams at this point, particularly given where Jalen is at this point in his career. He will turn 31 this fall. Dre Dog is asking about my well-being, meaning he probably didn't start the stream from the beginning. Just a reminder, I had a dental appointment earlier today, and I am shot up right now. I'm up in the clouds. I cannot feel the left-hand side of my face. I had a filling. I had a temporary crown placed. I can't feel shit, to the point where if I were to drink this out of this Yeti right now, you'd start to see water come flying out of my mouth. I mean, it would just, Christmas with the Cranks, when Luther goes in to get that like spray tan or what did he do? Did he Botox his face or do something? And Luther like starts to drink or starts to have like some sort of fruit and he can't get anything down. Like that's the way that I feel right now. So yeah, Bobby blasted is what's going on tonight. Don't worry. That's all it is. Over the counter stuff, Dre. Nothing else. Anyway, Jalen needs no introduction. This guy's a Super Bowl champ. He's a 3-time first team All-Pro. He's a 7-time Pro Bowler as recently as 2023. His last first team honor came in 21. He's a former first-round pick out of Florida State. He was 5th overall in 2016, and he's gone on to have an exceptional career, and he is a future Hall of Famer. Does that make it make sense for the Ravens right now? I don't think so. I think there's a youthful movement going on in Baltimore right now. And I think Nate Wiggins was the first step to doing exactly that last season. We'll see if TJ Tampa can provide that kind of spark as well and add to the youth of what they already have. You know, you got proven veterans in Marlon Humphrey, who you want to play inside, and Cheeto Awuzie, who you brought in free agency. But I think Ken McCusick here, friend of the show, made an interesting point. I think a lot of you probably agree that while this dude plays like a Raven, I'm with you, Lou. He plays like a Raven. The guy embodies a certain level of toughness, tenacity, that inner dog mentality, game record type, lockdown corner abilities. Ken's like, anybody interested in paying this 31-year-old $21 million the year after Miami extended him? Anyone? Bueller? So I'm not saying he wouldn't come in and make a whole lot of sense for the Ravens and bring them a short-term supply of top-notch corner play. But what I am saying is, I think they're in a pretty darn good position right now. They're obviously cap-strapped. They have 11 picks to choose from in the upcoming draft. Eric DaCosta made it clear today, even though it was a liar's luncheon, you got to take everything with a grain of salt, that you can guarantee at least one safety and at least one cornerback will be drafted coming up 9 days from now when the 3-day NFL draft begins. Here's what they're looking at picks-wise, with 11 throughout the weekend. Of course, the 27th overall in the first round, 59 in the second, 91 in the third, 129 and 136 in the fourth on day 3, 176 in the fifth, 183, 203, 210, and 212 in the sixth. It's going to be a busy round and a busy 10, 15 minutes or so, and 243 in the seventh. AKA the middle rounds, they got a lot of draft capital. And Eric DaCosta earlier today shared what he thinks about the meat portion of this upcoming draft.
The way that I look at the draft is you've got on day one, right? The first day of the draft, there's going to be 32 picks. So you've got to have 32 players that you would take in the first round. And so I always answer the question like, we have 32 players in the first round. You have to have at least 32 to pick. Now, is it a situation where maybe the totality of all these players in the first round might not be as talented as another year? Maybe that's the case. But I see a lot of opportunity in this draft class, really, in the middle rounds. I see more players. I see more draftable players. So we have 217 players right now on the front board. And there have been years where we've had a hard time getting to 160, 165. So there's a lot of draftable players. That means that the mid-rounds are going to be really good. And also I think undrafted free agency should have a chance to be really, really good for us. But I really think that if you're going to have 11 picks, this is a year that reminds me a little bit of 2022 from the standpoint of the depth of the draft really across the middle rounds, the third, fourth, fifth, sixth rounds. I think will be pretty good. We see a lot of talent in that range. So that's an opportunity for us to get better as a team.
They had a shit ton of day 3 picks. If you go back to that 2022 draft, a lot in the 4th. They took a couple corners. I can remember Jalen Armour-Davis and Pepe Williams were 2 corners drafted in the 4th round alone. Neither one panned out. Pepe is no longer with the organization. Jalen is, but he's just been totally unable to stay healthy, which is a darn shame because he had a lot of game coming out of Alabama. I'm going to talk about the safety position in just a bit. Would like to get your thoughts as well on the Jalen Ramsey discussion. Certainly not closing the door on it, but I'm of the belief that at corner right now, there is a good mix of veteran talents, right? Proven talents in Marlon and Cheeto with some sprinkled in youth like a Nate Wiggins, like a TJ Tampa, and whoever they bring in through the draft as well. And to me, that feels like the formula that you're going to bring in somebody through the draft. You're going to bring in a safety. Potentially one of those players is going at 27. Then you pick again at 59 on day 2 in the 2nd round. So you're looking for impact players that can step in and compete for starting reps right away, right out of the gate. And we'll get to edge rusher in just a bit. That's clearly an area that you want to bring in more depth. You want to bring in more competition. But it goes without saying, because they've kept this core intact by re-signing Ronnie Stanley, by having an incredible amount of youth that they're capitalizing on rookie contracts, right? Their rookie deals like Roger Rosengarten, like Tyler Linderbaum. Both those players, of course, on the offensive line are still on their rookie contract, as is Zay Flowers. Rashad Bateman's a bargain right now, given the extension that he agreed to about a year ago. So they're in a great position going into the draft, and now it's start to not necessarily fill in holes, but just find those smaller puzzle pieces. Pretty darn good position to be in. This episode is brought to you by my friends at Primary Residential Mortgage. And hopefully when my guys, Zach and Michael and Devin and George and Nas and everybody over there at PRMI are watching this episode, they're not highly concerned about why the hell I sound like a crack addict. But anywho, if you're looking to buy a home, now would be a great time to start with Primary Residential Mortgage. I am actually, fun fact, just starting my pre-approval process for a loan to see if I qualify, to see if I'm eligible, and to see how I am eligible, I guess is the better way to phrase it, what level of home buying I'm eligible for. And I've been working with one of the business development associates over there at Primary, and because somebody who's called into the show, huge Ravens fan, gotten close to them. His name is Zach Evans, and he's just been a joy to work with. Super helpful, kind of guiding me in the right direction for how to up my credit score, how to properly gather the right materials to apply, whether that be bank statements, whether that be tax returns, you name it. They have a quick and easy pre-approval process. You've got tailored guidance that's going to be given to you like somebody that's in Zach's position. And with all that, your dream home is within reach. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or looking to upgrade, the mortgage professionals at Primary are here to guide you every step of the way. You can begin your journey towards home ownership today. Contact PRMI to get started. You can visit the show notes, click on the link that I have included in the live chat, okay? And it brings you to the site that you see right now on the screen. You can contact them easily by filling out this information right here, or just click apply now and get started. PRMI, one of my longest standing sponsors. Very appreciative of them across the board. Well, more defensive back talk. We talked a little bit about to start the show. Cornerback and the idea of Baltimore being a potential landing spot for Jalen Ramsey, who looks like he's on his way out of Miami. That's at least what today's report consisted of from all the NFL insiders. But another domino that has yet to fall is our Darius Washington, who is a restricted free agent. He has not yet been signed to an offer sheet. Ravens took somewhat of a gamble, a calculated gamble on this decision last month, and it's paying off thus far. EDC was asked about him, his status, Quote, I'm fairly confident. Matter of fact, I have the entire clip right here.
Well, I'm confident, fairly confident that our Darius will be back. I don't know that it affects our decision-making at the position at all. I think it's a pretty deep safety crew, and there's, obviously the top guys, but then there's maybe 4 or 5 or 6 guys that will probably be, third, fourth, fifth round guys that are good players. I mean, this is a really nice pool of players to pick from. I think we definitely will look at that. I think we added the 2 young guys last year. Both guys play well for us on special teams, Bo and Sanusi. But yeah, it's a good group of players this year. And again, a position I mentioned, corner. I would probably guess that of our 11 picks, at least one of those would be a safety.
One's going to be a safety, one's going to be a corner. And did you catch the opening part of that clip right there about our Darius not necessarily impacting their plans going into next weekend? This is exactly what I've been kind of trying to chime in on here for weeks since this tender news, since this Ardarius Washington news first surfaced. And that is this. While he came up big, stepped up and stepped in big last year when they benched Marcus Williams, Ardarius is 5'8" with shoes on and has dealt with his fair share of injuries. Now, that's the knock against him. The plus is that when he is healthy, he is as hard-hitting, as vicious, and as impactful of a communicator as they've had in recent years on the back end. He's a gamer, got a knack for the football, and he's unafraid out there. And he's so much fun to watch. And that type of energy is contagious. You think about a few of the hit sticks he put on guys in the red zone. Russell Wilson, Joe Mixon, Pat Freiermuth. Big-time players that are Ardarius Washington, undersized, overlooked, the underdog. Guy's a hell of a player. But with that said, why wouldn't you before continuing to bring in as much competition, as much talent as you possibly can? Defensive backs can go down in bunches. The last thing you want to be in the position of is lacking depth. And so I found that to be telling. This does not necessarily force them to hang in the balance when evaluating best player available and so on and so forth coming up draft weekend. And that philosophy, by the way, BPA, I feel like it's something that I hear Eric DeCosta summarize and define year in and year out around this time. And this year was no exception.
And if you just imagine like a bunch of different buckets, and each bucket has a different grade, and you have these players that are all kind of in the different buckets. So you have the A bucket, the B bucket, the C bucket, the D bucket. You got 2 players in the A bucket. They're very close. One's at a need position. One's not at a need position. We're probably going to take the need position. What we're not going to do is take the need position in the B bucket over the best player available in the A bucket, if that's the case. So if they're very close, we're going to defer to the roster. And other factors as well, durability, character, all the other off-the-field intangible type stuff. But we're not going to jump players. We're not going to take a player that's in the lower bucket and jump him over a player in the higher bucket.
Could they be interested in one of the most mocked players to Baltimore? And that is Georgia safety Malachi Starks. Malachi has a stuffed resume from all the reps that he received in big-time SEC football as a member of the Bulldogs. He's got championships on his resume, and he's somebody that is projected to be a first-round pick for many reasons for what he's put on tape. He joined Kay Adams recently, and she asked him this question.
Off in the NFL. Let's manifest that. Bo Nix is off the list.
Jared Goff.
What, really? Why?
I've just talking to some of my teammates that used to play here in the league now. He's like an elite of the league quarterback. So just being able to, add that to my resume and some of the guys, the way they talk about him, I mean, that'd be cool.
Malachi Starks says that the one quarterback he wants to pick off once he gets to the NFL is Jared Goff. Well, guess what, guys? The Ravens just so happen to host the Detroit Lions coming up this fall at a to-be-determined time. Not location. It's going to be in Baltimore. Schedule release will be out in about a month. So just some food for thought going into next week's draft. Mel Kiper has consistently mocked Malachi to Baltimore. I know a lot of you like his game. I'm about to bring Dre on the show right now in a second. I know he's going to be screaming and shouting for Eamon Warrior out of South Carolina, and then proceed to ask me why the hell I'm drippy and droopy and drugged up, which is from my dentist appointment. And then he's going to try and recruit me to South Carolina. And I may very well be a receptive, willing participant because Bobby Batchelor goes on the road starting June 1st, and I have some updates for you guys in terms of my geography status. To the guest lines we go. I appreciate you guys for being with me on this Tuesday. I just had a cavity filled and a crown placed, so I'm numb as shit, just in case you missed my thought and my rundown off the top. To Dre we go, in the car as always, getting after it, making a buck. Great to see you, brother. It's been a minute, man. It's been a minute.
Yeah, man. What's up, baby? How you been, man? How you been?
It's good to see you. I've kind of stepped back a lot this offseason just to work on a bunch of back-end business stuff and travel and go to Columbus, of course. And it's just, I think it's a great time to take a step back because not only is the content dry prior to the draft, but there's so much that we can be doing and that I have done on the back end of the business to make us grow and make the in-season mode that we all enter that much more successful. So that's what I've been up to. How you doing?
Good, man. Good. I got off my day job, so I'm jumping to the Uber side of the game here in a little bit. Just grab me some food, so I'm going to jump on the Uber side of the game in a little bit. But real quick, man, with the Jalen Ramsey thing, if I'm not mistaken, the Ravens wouldn't have to be on the hook. If you pull up his cap numbers, I think what happens is we only are responsible for his cap hit. And when I looked at it earlier, I thought he had a crazy low cap hit number. And then his contract itself is really not that bad, bro. Like, and you could get out of it in a few years and not have a lot of dead money on the hook.
He's got a 25 cap hit number of 16.661. But just in case you weren't on the show at the start, I want to play for you what Adam Schefter had to say about this earlier, and then we'll react to it on the other side. Listen to this.
Okay.
Chris Greer, refer to the ongoing conversations that have taken place between Jalen Ramsey and the organization. The organization has been in a position where it has felt like it is in the best interest of the Dolphins, and Jalen Ramsey feels like it's in his best interest for both sides to part ways. And so that's coming. The only question is how it's going to be handled and how it's going to come down. The Dolphins obviously would like to get something back, but there's the issue of money, which is always a case in situations like this. Jalen Ramsey's due over $25 million for the coming season. The Dolphins already have paid him a $4 million roster bonus. So any team that takes on a Jalen Ramsey trade obviously would like to restructure that contract. So there's the question of whether that would happen. But today, Chris Greer made it clear that the two sides are going their own ways. Jalen Ramsey is expected to have a new home, and the Miami Dolphins are going to have to lean on a former high pick, Cam Smith, to try to step in, step up, and help become the type of player that they envisioned he would become when they drafted him a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
All right. So, again, it's a little bit of a heavy lift, right?
Okay, yeah.
It's a heavy lift. And ultimately, Miami not only would that obviously need to be restructured, but Miami's going to want something in return for him. Now, he turns 31 coming up this October. His resume is second to none at the position. He's a future Hall of Famer. He is a 3-time All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler. The guy's a dog. But what I explained in the beginning part of this live stream is that while he would absolutely come in and have a Marcus Peters first year in Baltimore type of effect, to me, I'm leaning with that youthful movement. Go safety right out of the gate at 27 and get whoever falls to you, whether it's Starks. I know you love him and Worry, and you should love him because I think he's exceptional. I don't think he's going to be there at 27. But if you go safety in the opening round right? You're going to pay Kyle Hamilton. He's going to be there for the foreseeable future. You've got a piece in Darius Washington, and then if he stays healthy, he's going to compete for a starting role. Or perhaps it's his to lose, although you know what I've been singing. I've been singing the praises of just breeding, competition breeds excellence. And so I want them to bring in another guy. You have the Sanusi Canes and the Bo Braids of the world who are going to be primarily special teamers. So that's my preference at this point. But I know it is enticing, and I'm sure you feel the same once this news came down.
Yeah, if it was a way that Miami picked up that, because we've seen it, going back to the Russell Wilson trade to Pittsburgh, we've seen where teams want somebody off their team bad enough, they'll say, screw it, we'll pay him for the year, and you just pay him that vet minimum or whatever you have to pay him, that small amount of money to bring him on. Now, something like that would be crazy. As far as trade capital, I mean, the Ravens got 4 6-round picks. I don't know who their tight end is, but, if it would be, I don't know how everyone would feel about a Mark Andrews and a 6 for Jalen Ramsey and Miami picking up that cap hit. If Miami does that, pick up that cap hit, that is a viable instant impact trade that you don't often see in today's market.
Great catching up with you, my friend. I'm going to go talk about the tight ends right now. You segued me perfectly because DaCosta spoke about it earlier. I'm about to do it right now.
All right, Bobby, South Carolina. Peace.
Good to see you, man. The recruiting efforts continue. For those of you who haven't been listening in recent weeks or haven't caught it in recent weeks, I am allowing my lease to run up here in Canton, in Baltimore, and Tilly and I are going to go on the road for a little while. We're going to put our stuff in storage, and I'm going to get in the Bobby Baltimore Bronco and do a little bit of travel and see where it takes me, and have a mobile remote setup that allows me to not skip a beat with what it is that we're building here, whether it's on the vault or inside this channel. And so I look forward to that. And to me, it's just going to give a much needed change of scenery. And I think if I'm building this the way that I think I'm building it, nothing will be sacrificed in terms of the content side of things. So I look forward to that. Every single tight end on this Ravens roster, as many of you know, is entering a contract season, including the fullback Patrick Ricard. It's a deep tight end class this year coming out of college. And DaCosta spoke about it from an evaluation perspective. And that clip will be playing in just a second.
I just think it depends on the player. Like, there are some really good players in this. And the same could be said about the running back position as well. And we've talked about that. We talk about these things all the time. And the reality of it is if there's like a tight end that we think is a blue chip tight end, or a running back that we think is a blue chip running back, we're going to take them just because they're important. And if the talent is such that we think this guy can impact our team at some point, we can't just eliminate positions because we're strong in the short term. We talk about needs, and we've seen, you guys have all seen, you've covered the team for a long time, needs can change in 1 week, right? We've had some years where we had a strong running back room. Next thing you know, like, it's a Friday afternoon, and we're calling every agent in the league because we need running backs because we just had 3 catastrophic injuries in a span of 7 days. So that can happen. And so
bad memory there, right there for everybody.
But I mean, it's just a reality. It's just a reality of our business. Injuries happen, needs change. And so for us, we're just going to keep an open mind. And if the guy is so good that we have to take him, we're going to take him.
Do not be surprised if on day 2 or day 3, best player available strategy comes into play and you see a running back or a tight end. They're turning their card in for one of those types of players. I would not be surprised. It reminds me when they used the second rounder on J.K. Dobbins, coming off a historic 2019 season at that position. Mark Ingram was on the roster. Justice Hill was on the roster. They were stacked, much like they are right now. Still Justice, of course, King Henry, the headliner, and Keaton Mitchell, who really has not been used in multiple years to the capacity that I'm sure a lot of you guys would want him at, sample size wise. But those are two, those are 2 luxury positions for the Ravens and what they do. And they will continue to stock, especially when you have every single one of those players at tight end that's, again, entering a contract year with uncertain futures ahead. back to the guest lines we go. If you guys want to call in and save me from my numbness, yes, the entire left-hand side of my face is drooping right now. It feels like it's 1,500 pounds. And I love that scene. I honestly love that scene. Luther Crank from Christmas with the Cranks. It's a legendary scene. Legendary movie. Manny is out on a post-dinner, pre-dinner walk. Maybe working on his figure ahead of summer. I don't know. Let's go ask him about said figure. To the guest lines we go. Good to see you, my friend.
Hey, what's up, Bobby? Speaking about
days.
dogs,
You getting in a little fast walk. You and remind me,
Roomy,
Broomy, a Roomy or Broomy?
Roomy. You say it like if it was your roommate, but it's not spelled less. It's R-U-M-I.
Roomy. Okay, I got you. Love it. What you got for us tonight, my friend?
What I got, I don't want that trade. I want to go young. And at 27, if we don't got our O-line, Mike sent me a proposal, even though, by the subtitle, I was not employed by Steve Bisciotti, so I got no say on it. Mike Green from Marshall. He looks like promising. I understand that the quarterbacks he faced are not Lamar Jackson-esque mobile, but at least he has that, how to say it, what we want from Oweh. He has it right out of the gate. Maybe not so much the body size, but he has that burst, he has that technique, that savviness of, hey, if I didn't get it the first time, I'm going to go hunt until the play is dead. So he looks promising.
You got me thinking about what Eric had to talk about today with the edge rusher class. So let's listen to that.
I do think it's a good draft class. Now, if I'm not mistaken, we've got our entire outside linebacker core coming back this year. So that's a great situation for us because we didn't lose anybody. And so from that standpoint, I think it's good. Now, again, there are some really talented guys in this draft class. There are guys that we'll be looking at as first-round guys, second-round guys, third-round guys, fourth-round guys we think could come in and compete to really play right away or develop and become really good players. So that's exciting for us. I think that if you're looking at the offensive line, the defensive line, and the outside linebackers as a whole, I would say they're three of the strongest positions in this draft class.
Manny, if I'm a betting man, Green's off the board. Ezeraku could be there. And if it's between Ezeraku and Malachi Starks, who are you taking?
Man, that's a toughie. Shit. They're playing two different things. I think I'll go Oraku.
Hey, and I'm not saying, I don't know if it's the most realistic scenario to play through that both guys are there at 27, but let's just say that's the case. And maybe there's a run on quarterbacks that changes the entire draft, right? Like, let's say Shador goes a little bit earlier than maybe planned, and all of a sudden Pittsburgh has to panic, and it just kind of sets off this chain effect within the draft, and both players are there. Chat, who you going with? Donovan Ezeraku or Malachi Starks? I know who Mel Kiper would select. Listen to this, Manny, from earlier this week. Good God.
I love guys that have great football IQ. Those are smart football players, versatile football players, but just ballers. And Malachi Starks, to me, this past year, they moved him around. I mean, when you can just focus on one spot and one role, and he can wear a lot of hats. There's no doubt about that. But the range he shows, the ability, the tackling ability, which some people question this year, he didn't have the best year he could have had. He did not have the year he had 2 years ago. But he didn't have the interception until he had the great interception against Clemson. He didn't have that. So his career total would have been a lot higher had he had more opportunities this year. But yeah, they were moving him around. So at the end of the day, Malachi Starks, to me, you have to go back to 2023. And if you did, going into the year, guys, I had him as the 7th or 8th best player in the draft.
Wow.
And I always try to go back to that. I always try to go back to early August, mid-August, when those ratings boards start to come out and become formulated. And I finalize my opinions going into the year. Malachi Starks was right there. And is like I say, one of the top 6, 7, 8 best players in this draft. So when you start talking about him in the late 20s, where the Ravens are picking, we talk about value in the draft. How do you get value? You get value either by a guy being injured, banged up, and prevented him from playing to the level of his talent, or he was misused, talent around him wasn't the same. For whatever reason, it just didn't click. It just didn't work to the level it did the previous year. In Malachi Stark's case, that was what happened. So now you can benefit from that. You don't get great value picks because the guy played great. You get great value picks because there's a question. Something went awry, whether it was injury, not playing up to the level expected, whatever. And so for Malachi Starks, if he's there at the end of the first round, I'll forget pass rusher. I would take Malachi Starks.
That's courtesy of the Lounge podcast earlier this week with Ryan and Garrett, the Ravens team podcast. So again, Mel has been 10 toes down for Malachi Starks for weeks now, and it'd be hard not to turn in that card if he's there, Manny.
Yes, but here's the thing, and I think that's a detriment for Starks with us because Mel Kiper just said versatility. So Harbaugh is going to tell Zach Orr, use his versatility, so he's never going to be properly introduced to one position to start his NFL career. They're going to move him around like Micah Parsons, but Micah Parsons is a freak of nature. So that's why he responded the way that he responded. With Starks in this type of defense, Zach Orr's defense, we got to remember that it's 2014 type defense in which it relies more so on heavy blitzes disguised. So I'm not sure if that's the proper way to actually introduce Starks to the NFL, moving him around.
Are you getting chased by dogs?
No. I got 2 dogs right here. I got Rumi, and I got my brother's dash hound. So
you back down in where are you right now?
I'm with my grandmother in Houston.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I was gonna say that looked like Houston. I don't know. The weather, just the architecture looks like Houston there. So great to see you again, brother. We'll do it again soon.
Yeah. Oh, Robbie. Who would you draft if you don't got D-line or O-line? Do you draft safety or do you go for a fullback?
When?
At 27.
A fullback at 27?
Who knows?
I'm going. Hey, I've been bullish on safety for a long time. I think they're going safety. I think they're going defensive back, safety or corner. That's where I'm going.
All right.
See you, brother.
See ya.
Catch up with you soon, Manny. Appreciate you. I don't know. More and more, I'm thinking like safety is this gut feeling that I'm having. I think a lot of it has to do with who they know, what they know they have in Kyle Hamilton, and how Kyle's skill set will dictate how they build this defense out, this back end, and really all 3 levels out for the foreseeable future. That's how big time of a player he is. So we'll see. Still 9 days to get different gut reactions, different gut feelings. Would love for you guys to share your gut feeling on the draft with me in the Bobby Baltimore Discord server, which is a 24/7 hub for conversations surrounding Baltimore sports. There is a football group that's been alive and well all week. There's a baseball chat, talking Orioles, of course, and their really disappointing start to the season. There's a Maryland Terrapins chat, the Caps, general stuff, you name it. My dating life chronicles here and there. It is free to join, and I will drop the link to do so in the live chat. There's a link also in the show notes. Would love for you guys to pop in there. It's a great community of like-minded Baltimore sports fans and a fun way to hang out with me in a more informal setting here and there when I have a chance to check in and keep up with what's going on. Thanks to Primary Residential Mortgage for the opportunity to sponsor to work with them as a sponsor and as a partner. If you're interested in getting your home buying process started, or at least at the very least going through the application process, the pre-approval process, to see if you qualify, to see if you're eligible like I'm doing right now, great place to start. Click on that link that I have included, pinned comment, show notes, you name it. Thanks for getting me through this one. Couple callers, Dre and Manny, helped out. I'm still numb as shit from today's dental appointment, but I will be good to go for our 12 noon show tomorrow. That's a Wednesday Ravens lunch hour live stream. I look forward to it. Appreciate you guys for hanging. Talk to you soon.